Time is valuable, time is irreplaceable, but most importantly, time is money. Imagine a world in which you didn't have to worry about your son and daughter's extracurricular activities because you received information that was timely, relevant, and all in one place. Imagine your son or daughter received a text notification hours before their club was canceled, letting them know so that they could catch the bus and not have to lose that crucial studying time that we all need. Imagine a world in which you received that same text notification letting you know their club was canceled, so you didn't have to go and try and catch the train, only to find out that he or she had been at home for hours already. Imagine a world in which communication between teachers, parents, students, and administrators was seamless through one simple application. Imagine no longer. My name is William Reinhardt, and we are Knowtify. Let's be honest for a minute. If your son and daughter is anything like me, their schedule probably looks a little bit something like this. To quote William Penn, time is what we want the most, but what we use the worst. Knowtify is an application that provides users with text notifications like so, which when clicked on, brings them to the Knowtify newsfeed. The Knowtify newsfeed then provides them with information about their test deadlines, their club activities, their extracurriculars, anything that's relevant to them. Now, in order to find that relevant information, students input their information about which clubs they participate in, as well as what grade level they're in. So they receive grade-specific, club-specific information. In addition, students can also add their own events outside of school extracurriculars. So because Knowtify, the school, club, and extracurricular activities are automatically updated by club sponsors, their calendars are already set. So students can also add in their own information about activities that they have outside of school. For instance, return my tux or something of the sort. Now, there are approximately 15 million high school students across the continental United States, about 73% of which use their phones throughout the day. At $2.50 a student, that's $21.7 million for our total addressable market. Now, of those students, about 21% live in the Midwest. That brings us to a serviceable addressable market of about $4.6 million. To put that in perspective, if we saved 5 minutes for each of the students in our serviceable addressable market, we'd be saving 23 years. Here's Brennan and Corey to talk about a little bit about us.
As for our team, we all have different interests, strengths, and weaknesses, but we use our versatility to our advantage to come together as one to create Knowtify. William Reinhardt is our CFO and co-CEO, Olivia Fisher is our COO and co-CEO, Irfan Zad is our head of sales, and I, Brennan Corey, am Knowtify's CTO. We all have made much commitment to our company and have shown this by cutting ourselves a salary beginning in year 2. Once we go to college, we still plan on continuing our business and hiring employees to help us. We've also put a lot of effort to start up our business. We've interviewed 2 principals from Cary Grove and Barrington. We've also managed to get ourselves in front of the Fox Valley Board Conference, which consists of 14 principals from around Northern Illinois, and have received positive feedback from all of them. We've worked very hard this year to prove that there's a problem that needs to be solved, and have worked extra hard to prove that there's this interest to solve the problem. And we work very well together, and now here's Irfan to talk about our competitors.
Through our research, we have found 3 direct competitors for applications: Remind, School Info, School Routes. Each solve the same problem with a similar solution: an app that is distributed among students to manage their schedules. Our indirect competitors are social media sites such as Facebook and Groupie. Their organization is like a traffic jam, hectic. Our app is infinitely better. We emphasize safety for our students. If there is any early release or lockdown situation, parents get notified immediately without going to different meetings. Our app is also customizations, which makes us more unique. Every kid has their own customized version of Knowtify. If they want to set to ACD registration, they can do that. If they want to set to like sports events, they can do that, or put all together at once. And here's Will to talk about our.
Now, taking a look at our financial model, we grow from approximately $37,000 in revenue in year 1 to about $3.2 million in year 5, but that's definitely not without marketing. Now, in order to grow our customer base, we will be advertising in magazines such as American Schools and Universities and the National Association of Independent Schools. In addition, in year one, we'll start to attend conferences for principals and superintendents across the nation in order to further grow our customer base. Now, we are not planning on purchasing booths at those conventions for year one because money is relatively short. However, we will be contacting superintendents and principals beforehand and setting up meetings with them at the conventions where we can then learn about how Knowtify can be successfully integrated into their schools. We are a sticky growth engine because we charge schools a flat $2.50 per student per year fee. Now, looking at our gross profit, it is exactly equal to our revenue because as an application, we do not have a cost of goods sold. Our net income grows from about $2,000 in year one to approximately $670,000 in year 5. Now, as an application, we are a high technology company, so we will be spending approximately 25% of our revenue on IT. In addition, we have cut salaries for ourselves beginning in year one, or in year 2. And we have also accounted for legal fees as well as assistance from. We have accounted for employees that will help further grow our customers. Now here's Olivia Fisher to talk a little bit about our economy.
Since our last presentation in February, we've conducted 2 MVP trials in which we simulate exactly what our application will do for a group of students. So when we did this, we each took about 2 or 3 students and we organized their schedule for them. So we texted them 3 times a day. In the morning, we texted them what they have to look forward to for that day, what's going after school, that sort of thing. The afternoon text was an announcement text, but the announcements were catered directly to them. So if we had a junior, we could text him or her information about senior parking registration or prom information. But for our freshman student, we would text him like when to sign up for driver's ed. So it was really specific to each person. And then in our evening text, we texted them information about the next day. So if they had a game, we could text them, don't forget to bring your cleats or bring money for the pizza sale after school, that kind of thing. So it was very customized, just like our application will be. We also texted them anything on top of that they wanted to know. So if they wanted to know who was winning the lacrosse game for that week, we would text them the scores for the next morning, that kind of thing. We had really positive results from our MVP. In our first trial, we had 12 participants and we had a 92% approval rating, which means 11 of the 12 students gave us an 8 out of 10 or higher. And then in our second trial, we had 8 students and 7 of the 8 gave us an 8 out of 10 or higher, which is an 88% approval rating. So we really proved that there's a clear problem to be solved and the students are feeling exactly what we felt when we developed this idea. They're feeling that the flyers around the school are just really not enough they don't know when things are going on. The word of mouth isn't a strong enough means of communication. They need something more direct and more personal for them. So we changed our BMC slightly because of our survey results from our MVP. We decided to add things a little bit more personal to them, so not necessarily just involving school. If they want outside of school information, so like Will said, pick up your text, they can set a reminder for themselves. And this can be linked to the parent portal too, so the parents can also see this reminder or send reminders through that their student will get that doesn't necessarily have to do with school. And then we also changed our BMC slightly in terms of how we're charging for our application. So after we presented in front of the Fox Valley Conference Board of Principals, we lowered our price based on their recommendation from $3 a student to $2.50 a student. And then we decided we could give schools an option of how they want to cover the cost. They can either cover the cost of Knowtify by just taking it out of their budget, or they can cover the cost through the annual activity fee, so then the parents would then be covering the cost, or they could have an outside company, depending on their advertising policy, cover the cost of Knowtify in exchange for advertising. So this would be similar to how Wickstrom helped fund the building of the VHS Stadium. So, now to talk about your money. Here's my new card.
Our company will need around $59,500. $54,000 of those dollars will be used for the development of our application for 2 platforms, the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. We'll need a $10,000 liquidity fee and $500 for our legal filing fees. In exchange for $59,500, Knowtify is proposing a 20% ownership in the business based on our post-valuation of $516,975. We plan to exit after 5 years by selling to strategic buyers such as Infinite Campus or textbook companies like Pearson Education or McGraw-Hill. Back to Olivia for some closing words.
Over the course of this year, we've really proven that there's a clear problem to be solved. After we interviewed the Cary Grove principal and after we presented in front of the board of 14 principals, we saw firsthand that they're experiencing a disconnect between the administration and students. And we strongly believe that Knowtify is the solution to bridge this gap in communication between administration, parents, and students. So, who's with us in opening the road to a more organized world? We will now take any questions.
Can you go back to your numbers?
Yeah.
Perfect. I just want to look at it. Go ahead.
How are you going to populate all this information? I mean, it seems like an incredible amount of information you're going to have 15 or 20 schools and a couple of thousand students with all different, schedules and requirements. I mean, where are you going to get all the information?
50 clubs per school.
Right, it would be a per school basis. So I mean, it differs for each school, but the club sponsors would input the information, like when they're meeting, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Like, specific to each club. And then also for ACT registration, that kind of thing, it's all uniform, but it does differ for each school.
So what we're really hoping is that the clubs have an incentive to provide their members with information about when club meetings are, when they're canceled, or when they're rescheduled. And then the administrators have that incentive in providing them with the information about the school. So any ACT test dates or registration to keep their students in the loop. So it's a
So the club would input the information into
Right.
that.
The club leader, or then what you're saying is the administrator
For
for
the
stuff that's not
announcements.
club-specific, school-specific, or the coach, if they're coaching the lacrosse game, they want to push out the score. So having that person pushing content is really critical to this, because if they're not pushing it, the user is getting.
And it's a variety of content pushers too. It's the leader of each club.
Right.
And it's constant. So you don't have one, you might have one super administrator, but you've got 50 administrators.
So if softball cancels, Barry Peterson texts it now, let's just assume he texts it. So you have to get him to text it and then enter it in your account. Or are you,
You would be replacing that. So right now, there's a big disconnect. If my parents wanted to find out that my baseball practice was canceled,
yeah,
he'd be texting me, and I may not have that waiver sign that says that he can text me, so he may be texting other people to text me to let my parents know the practice is canceled.
So instead, he can just enter it into Knowtify, and then the parents will get the text about it, and then the whole team will get it too.
Yeah, there's a gap that they're solving the problem, because right now, like students of certain sports,
yeah.
for their coach to text them, they have to have a letter signed by their parents that says it's okay for the coach to text them. So this is, the idea is kind of cool. I'm just worried about the administration. I mean, if the Chinese club or if the Latin club, or if they don't update it, if you don't get full buy-in, it leaks. What did you talked to a variety of principals. What did they say about administrating this?
They said that they have a huge issue communicating to their students, so they loved it because at Cary Grove High School, they have their announcements streaming on TV screens around the school. But I mean, we are on our phones through the hallway, so we're not looking and reading what's around us. So that's why we think our app it's right there. It's
It's
where
a
we're
walking
looking.
bulletin board. I mean,
Exactly.
the idea of pushing content to consumers is really, really good. I mean, and it'll be the wave of, you'll walk by a store and they'll say, come out in, we have a deal for you.
Mhm.
That's really good stuff. The critical path is getting the content and getting everybody using it.
Does
We just need to think about
your
that.
IT costs, because what you're describing is actually a complex set of user interface screens that have to be really tested. One, they have to be super easy for anybody at any level to update content. And so it's going to take, there's a lot of different screens you're going to have to, and settings and all of the configurations to build out. Does your cost for building your app include, there's the mobile app interface that the students
It's the
are going to look
administrator
at,
side.
but the content gathering side, and update and maintenance for a lot of
It
people.
it includes all
You
those
didn't
servers
sit
and all
down,
that
you didn't just
information.
go through one of those websites that said, you know,
We
you
we
actually
got a
sat
quote
down.
from 8-Bit Studios. They,
Awesome.
all the components and
Oh,
everything.
now I'm impressed
Yeah,
that you
okay.
did that.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that I want to know.
Okay, so he quoted the, he worked with Mr. Bredermeyer, who he had taught through the Mobile Makers class. And he provided us with a breakdown of all the different costs, or the amount of hours that each part of the application would take to build. And then a quote for a junior level coder and then a high level coder. So
Chris,
that
do you
was-
have a list of
I
user
do.
requirements actually?
We do. I have a-
Wow.
Well, I just talk to us about that a little bit more. Is the intent to work with a student's calendar on their smartphone?
So
or
that's
is
also
it-
implemented, yeah. So
Which is it?
we can, the intent was to work with the calendar on the student's smartphone,
Yeah.
but for the same amount of time for coding, you can also have it work with Google Calendar.
Right.
So you can have it across not only the student's smartphones, but the parents and everyone that's got that Google Calendar.
And will they, can they work with a school district's digital communication systems? Like, for example, this school uses school-wide,
I see.
quite a few. Do that, will it work with that?
The school,
You don't know that right now because your parents get all of the alerts from
Yeah,
school-wide. So
for-
if there's a safety incident at this school, we know about it right then.
And yeah, if there was a way to connect to that.
Right. That's infrastructure.
You
That's
said
all.
that you were looking for $59,000,
Mhm.
and you said you were gonna give us 20%, and then you went in to tell us that the post-money valuation was 500,000. So wouldn't 500,000 be 10% of this, closer to 10% than 20?
It is
We'll go to that
paid-
page.
So-
Our liquidity
Yes.
version is 5,000 actually, it's not 10.
Yeah, but, yeah, go ahead.
okay, so what we had originally done is, so before the pre-pitch document that we provided you with only had that code for Apple. So we know that that doesn't work because schools won't mass purchase purchase the application if it only works for one platform, because then it's leaving some of the students out. So we added that into our costs, into the startup costs, and then we changed from a 3-year to a 5-year. But because our post-money valuation is greater, the percentage of company that you have it's equal to what it would have been had it been 3-year. So if it
Well,
was
if we're putting in 59,000 and we own 20%, the valuation is closer to, well, 60,000.
it was 12%.
It's
It was
12%.
12%, but we, yeah.
Because we're asking for, we bumped it up to 20% on our own.
Okay, well then your valuation changes, that's fine, just make sure that syncs up.
So do you have a breakdown on your 59.5 and where that money goes?
Yeah, okay, so 54,000 of that is the app development, $500 for the LLC filing cost, and then a $5,000 liquidity.
So 59.5 is a bit rich for us well so far, and unfunded, anybody at that level, what can you do for half or less, 20 to 25,000?
It's, well, we could potentially try and work with the schools to work out a deal that they help fund the application and pilot it. And so we integrate it into their schools while they're helping cover the cost, something of the sort.
Because we do have interested schools already.
Keep that in mind, because a lot of software gets developed and it hasn't been created, on the fly. Say,
Are any of
you're gonna
you-
help finance it.
In the app class next door, would you be willing to, if someone was coming out of that class that, now knows how to develop apps, bring them on as a partner in this deal and have a coder that could do some of this work yourself?
We had actually contacted one of them, but I know he coded another application.
AJ?
for the other.
Yes.
He's hiring himself out.
Consulting.
He took this class last year.
The long tail.
That would be a really, way to, you can get some of the coding done yourself and then ship it out to the professional to dress it up.
I would take a look at that, because I think 60 might be a little bit rich.
And I think you have something there. More and more stuff's going there. So Target now has a thing. If you sign up on Target.com, if you go into a Target, they know you're there.
They know your credit card number.
And they walk down, well, everyone knows the credit card number.
They gave it away.
Yeah, and you walk down a certain aisle, they say, hey, last time you bought Red Bull, it's right over here, it's on sale today. So, the push content is huge, and connecting it to the master schedule, if there was a way to do that.
The challenge is the one-off apps are difficult. There seems to, you need to have more that this connects to in some way. And I'm even thinking of Find My Bus, because you got the little Find My Bus thing over here. You won't have to go to 15, 20 different apps.
It's a great idea.
How do you connect with others so this becomes a single portal for parents to go to anything to do with their kids? It could be grades, and I know it's more complicated.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's the downside to me, is you have one app,
Right.
it's fairly narrow.
Well, what we were hoping was that it kind of takes that calendar, like replaces the calendar, because although it's on your phone, one of the reasons that kids of our age are hesitant to use calendars is because they have to update it themselves. So if most of the work is being done for them, then
It's just automatic.
they're a lot more likely to use the
So this
calendar.
really isn't an app.
It's
I
a
mean,
way to put your school information on your calendar.
Right, but you also you're not supposed to open the app a lot because one of our UVPs is saving time. So we don't want you to go in the app and have to like mess around with it. It just does everything for you.
It's just a notification.
It's just notifications, right?
So none of you use calendars?
No.
Well, I
It's-
know
it's-
now.
My kids do.
If it's updated,
Yeah.
it's much more likely not only if it's an input for you, but if you find out that something has changed and rescheduled, then it's
Exactly,
So
so,
what I'm trying to understand here is, if it's used in the best way, designed in the best way, it's an app that you open once, gives
set up-
access to your calendar and all your inputs, and then you never touch it again.
Right, you
Because
set
it
up what you're involved
automatically
in,
feeds into your
set up what
calendar.
you want to know about, so if you want to know about the football games,
So
click
that is
that.
an ultimately kid-friendly product.
And I would
They
think you don't
have
need the
to
syncing to your calendar. Kids really don't use calendars. This is instant, next day, what's happening. If you, or it could be a future feature, and you, maybe a way you cut out some
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
So, is this app then adaptable for multiple schools, opposite communities, so that, can they do their own skin or branding? So each school, and then also the security aspect, is that built into your?
That's what we've been
Yeah.
exploring, yeah. It costs a little bit more to kind of skin have a skin on the app like this in high school or something, but we can, you can charge them extra if they opt to do that, if they opt to.
Thank you.